Hey team, welcome back to the show. Today I am joined by Andrea and Natalie, and we're going to be doing a Q&A. Somebody asked, can we bring back the personal updates? Who asked this, Andrea?
That was Jen Bassmeyer.
Shout out to Jen. I'm glad you're interested in our personal lives. I removed these because I don't want to hear about
Because they
Natalie's
were the
and
same
Andrea's
weekly.
personal. Just kidding. Because I feel like there's nothing to add ever. But fill us in, Andrea. Give us your personal update. We have right
I
away
don't have
defeated
much
the quick
going
moving
on.
through this quickly thing, but go on,
Oh,
Andrea.
yeah. So, um, competition is next Saturday. So I'm just over a week out. I'm feeling pretty good. Last couple weeks, I haven't really trained because of a back injury. Luckily, that's mostly gone at this point. I'm not doing any hinging or anything, but I was able to go in and do like the pump workout. So I'm feeling really good now that I'm able to be confidently back into that and didn't have any pain in that. So I'm excited for it. Next,
Okay.
tomorrow, well, as this releases, it'll be tomorrow, we'll start peak week. So, yay.
Start for you, dude. Crazy. Your physique is crazy. It's been so cool. I feel like I've just watched this evolve for so long. And it's cool to see you just finally get shredded and just like how much all that has paid off. It's just been really cool to watch the whole journey. Because I don't know, it's crazy actually how long I feel like because I've been able to watch this for like 7 years now.
Yeah, yeah. There's been a lot of different hard phases, but it has culminated in, I guess not culminated. We're never, like you said in that
This
post
is the
yesterday, we're
peak.
never
It will never be
done.
better than this. It's
Yeah.
all downhill from here.
But it has made this fat loss phase, this prep smooth. Like I truly think that a lot of that foundational work has been why this has gone as smoothly as it has. So,
Your post a while back on all of the like your health phase, your building phase, just all the discomfort you had to go through to get here. An exceptionally long health phase, especially. Like those things make it so cool to see where you're at. Cool.
yeah.
All right. But Andrea's shredded. Show next week. Natalie, how about you?
I'm over here hitting new scale highs. So on the other end of the
I am a meatball.
basically. So busted into the 150s the other
So
week. But like training is awesome. Food is also awesome, nice and high. I got my second foster dog and got her adopted like 2 days later.
so cool.
Um, so that was a big personal victory. And she's a really cool dog, so I wish I'd had more time with her, but she was their longest term resident. So I am very proud of that accomplishment, and I guess I'll be looking at my next foster dog, but I will wait until I come back from Andrea's show next weekend. So that's the
Right
next big
along,
thing on
dude.
the agenda. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys there, and of course, seeing Andrea take the stage. Then I'll come back and get another dog.
So cool though, really, again, her being the longest term resident and she was adopted after like 2 days. Like that is really so cool. It is also shocking to me that you act like you care about dogs, but I have proposed to Natalie that when she come, if she would move here, we will literally start a dog rescue. I'm 100% serious about this. If just one of these two moves here, and neither of them have, so I kind of think that neither of them actually care about the dogs, but keep up this facade. Anything else with you, Natalie?
No, that's literally it.
Cool. Um, I don't know what to say about myself. I'm also a meatball. I weighed 237 pounds this morning, which is the heaviest I have been, I think, since
Ever?
college, actually. No, I've been like 245, I think is my all-time heaviest. But very happy with like where body composition is here. So I've been building for a good stretch now, what, since December?
Wait, is it
Um,
the you've been in an intentional building phase?
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I think would- like 2 years ago when I was building with Steve, I got up to like over 230 a couple times. Um, but body comp is like way better than it was then. So I'm really really happy with where we're at. And then not sure from here. It sounds like we actually may do like a transition phase, which I'm not actually even sure what that entails. I don't think I'm like transitioning genders, so I'm not sure. I am
I
actually,
hope,
all
You
the
beat me
bikini
to that.
jokes are real. Yeah.
I hope he
Uh,
lets you know soon.
but I know it's like a little bit of fat loss involved in there, so we'll see. But no, the building phase has gone super well. Basically, big priority on upper body. Of course, we're focusing on like the men's physique as the goal right now. So that's gone well. I basically just run the prime chest press and prime pull down all the time, and I love it. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Anything else from anyone before we get into the questions?
We're going to IHOP next week, right?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Cinestacks galore. I got pan coin to burn. All
I do.
right. Uh, Natalie, are two full body days a week of big compound movements enough to maintain muscle?
Um, I'd say probably if volume is high enough in terms of number of sets and also number of compounds, like you'd have to be really strategic that you're kind of hitting everything, but I always think that like it doesn't take as much as people think to just like maintain.
Yeah,
So if you're only going to hit like two lifting days, that's where I would probably encourage you to train like really hard. Like you could kind of hit this a couple different ways, right? Like you could have more volume but like less intensity and work to maintain. But because this person is basically asking about less volume, I would say like make sure your training intensity is high so that like it counts.
yeah,
And like probably would be my answer.
yeah. Yeah, our frequency is kind of the limiter for more volume there. It also is going to be dependent. Like, do you have a ton of muscle? Like,
Hmm.
but
Yeah, are
unless
we
you're
like
abnormally
a loose
jacked,
open bodybuilder like trying to
right?
maintain?
But I don't think that like Big Ramy submitted this one. So, given that, probably yes. I would again like when we're looking at like biceps, triceps. I think they're like if we're not including some intentional work, might we lose a bit there still potentially? Yeah. For the most part, can we maintain? I would say for sure, like I mean, my focus would be on like we want a horizontal or low incline press. We of course want a pulling pattern, or two. I would probably want at least like a horizontal vertical pull, and then like a squat pattern, squat or lunge, and then like a hinge. And then probably like a hamstring accessory a couple times a week, like a leg curl, basically a couple times a week as well. And I think we've ticked most of our boxes. And again, like if you have jacked arms and you want to maintain that, then probably our other accessories are like bicep curl, tricep extension. If not, it's probably like some side delts. Anything you guys would add there?
I think that these conversations are fun to have because I think they're just a little bit like theoretical, like, hey, could
Hmm.
you? And this is one of those things where I feel like a lot of people are really terrified to like jump in and try something.
Yeah.
And it's like if that's your goal is to really just maintain, try. Like try. And I mean, you're gonna have to give it more than a week, obviously, but like, record your lifts, like track your lifts. Are they going up, down, staying the same? Like, take, physique shots. Like, how does your body look? And kind of adjust and go from there. Like, just don't be afraid to try. At the end of the day, it is much easier to regain tissue that you had rather than like building new tissue from scratch. So if you don't like the results you're getting, add another
Always do
day.
more.
Yeah.
That's cool. All right, Andrea, how often and when to do mobility work?
I This is so totally dependent on the person. We kind of touched on mobility work last week a little bit and like the merit of that in your programming and I think that the important context here is why are you using it and what are you considering mobility work? Because if you have a muscle that's pretty tight and you're just so let's say like your hip flexors are tight because you're sitting for work all day, getting into a little bit of a uh, like a lunge stretch for a couple minutes at night is probably not going to do a whole lot for you. But if you for instance, get into a lunge stretch before you train your lower body, and then you load that hip extension, which is like the antagonist of your hip flexors. That is going to do more for the mobility versus just kind of passively going through it. So I I do think that there's a lot of merit to like quote unquote mobility work, but it needs to be strategic and it needs to make sense in the context that you have it worked within to your training. It's not just like, you know, pulling your shoulder back and getting a stretch on the front of your shoulder. It's like, how can we take that muscle through a full range of motion under load? Because under load is the thing that's going to teach your body to be able to access that range of motion longer term. I don't think I answered the
Very
question at
good
all.
take.
I just gave context to it. And now I don't remember
It,
what the question was. How often? I would say like as often as is needed in order to improve the quality of your training.
I like
I think
that.
that's a good question. Not necessarily more is better past that. I mean, more could be beneficial, but I don't know if I'd dose it more. Cool. Anything else to add before we continue? Nice. All right. How and when do you implement a deload period? All right. So a deload, basically just think 4 to 7 days of reduced training stress. We want to drop fatigue and basically get you ready for our next training phase. And my goal within a deload is by the time we start this next week of training, we want the person just fresh, ready to push again. Typically, what I'm going to be looking at, I mean, there's a lot of signs of fatigue we can look for, like is our performance dropping? Is our pump worse? Is our training motivation a lot lower? Is mood worse? Things like more GI disruption. Do we have more loose stool than normal? Sleep disruption. Even like, am I feeling a little bit more beat up? Do I have more aches and pains than normal? When I'm looking at like biggest signs that I want to deload someone, one of the first things is typically going to be the training logbook. This is our biggest key. I think that, I don't know, sometimes you can kind of tell, I don't have this as much anymore, but sometimes you can kind of tell if somebody's like kind of like trying to nudge you to like, hey, I think you need to deload. And it's like, I'm not really feeling motivated to train this week. And it's like, well, you've only slept like 4 hours the last couple nights. That's why we feel like this. Your training is actually still progressing well. Or like, this is feeling really hard. I need to deload. But if our logbook is still progressing, cool. I think we still can push and get more out of this. One of the biggest things we'll see when someone needs a deload is suddenly like a lot of lifts stall out or even regress slightly. It's more so systemically rather than even just like, hey, this one lift isn't progressing. We see like oh wow, this looks a lot worse than things have for like the last couple weeks. That's one of the biggest and honestly probably the best sign I will see. Um, Motivation to like train, work, things of that nature will also be quite a bit lower though as well. And sometimes even if it's like, hey, we haven't pushed this push first to the breaking point yet, if it's like, okay, I'll just more productive for us to deload now. I will go ahead and take one. A lot of times that will come with as well though, due to the increased stress load that we can't recover from. Sleep quality will kind of decrease again, and or alongside that, we'll see some GI disruption. Again, more loose stool typically. It's just hard to explain with anything else. And then again, oftentimes like more aches and pains. I would say those are the biggest things that I'm looking for. Would you guys add anything else with like, hey, here's what I'm looking for to science to deload?
Now, the
Cool.
longer we work with a client, though, the more we kind of are familiar with their signs.
Hmm.
Um, and it's nothing exists in a vacuum. So it's not necessarily like it's literally just because like I've been in the gym and pushing so hard. I mean, it's probably that, but also there's typically like outside stressors that are playing a part too,
Yeah,
that just kind of like overdo that your stress bucket just kind of like overflows. And it's like,
for
all right,
sure.
how do we remove a stressor? And like sometimes even just taking like 2 days off of the gym is enough to just like reset and get back in there. But like most of our clients really love to train. So it's pretty out of character when all of a sudden it's like motivation is low.
Hmm. Yeah, I think of like Natalie, you and I have had a lot of conversations
Every
where,
time.
yeah,
Every
I was gonna
single
say I know your sign for when you need to deload because I'll have like a Slack conversation with you. We'll have a conversation here about like I don't know what's wrong with me. I just like don't feel like I have the drive I normally do, and just like basically like is everything falling apart? Am I just not the person I was? And then it'll be like, oh, I just needed to deload. I feel so much better. But it does have you see the same thing in clients as well. Like it will impact your mood. I have the same thing. A lot of times it is just like a what is wrong with me? Like am I so like lazy and I just
maybe I'm
can't
not
push
cut
myself
out
as
for
hard?
this.
Yeah, am I just not have I lost my edge? Um,
Yeah.
how to deload? So typically this is going to be 4 to 7 day span. There's a couple different approaches we could take here. We could reduce the amount of work sets someone does by roughly a half, and then reduce their RIR targets to about 3 to 5 RIR is a good rule of thumb. Or alternatively, which I don't mind this one, just giving someone 4 or 5 days rest completely off the gym and then get back to it, right? So either of those are typically going to be sufficient for deloading. It just depends on the client situation. You will be slightly detrained with time away. So if we're like taking 4 or 5 days off, like those patterns we won't be in as good of a groove with those patterns when we get back. But it also oftentimes aligns with like, hey, we have this trip or like you have a chaotic period and this is a good time for us to deload anyways. So let's just take it off, give you more time to like manage the work stress that kind of put us here in the first place and get back to it. Anything else you guys would add there?
I'll
More
typically tell someone take 2 days or 3 days or whatever completely off and use that time to do something that also relieves stress. So like go out for a walk or even just like rest at home or get something finished that you haven't had the time to do because that is kind of a double benefit of reducing their stress from the physical side, but then also they're able to do something that they don't normally have time for and kind of fills their cup.
Yeah.
more often than not, I'm just telling them to like give it a miss for a couple days.
That is typically my go-to as well. I have a couple clients who really just, it's like a larger stressor for them to be out of the gym and they're like, or I have people where it's like, it took me forever to get you in this routine and we've been stuck in such a good routine that I don't want to disrupt that.
Yeah, in
So
that
we're
case,
going to continue to train,
yeah.
but just pull
Fair.
back RIR. Okay. I'll throw this out to Natalie if you want it or whoever. If not, thoughts on Berberine. When would you use it with a client versus when not? Any takes on that?
So I think typically berberine would come in during um like if we're dealing with some like insulin resistance.
Mhm.
And then also usually like it's an antimicrobial, so like it has its place with like a GI protocol. So like digestive stuff that you're working on. I actually like haven't used it in a while with a client, honestly. Um, I can't remember the last time that I've had to use it, but typically like on the insulin resistant side, there are going to be some other go-tos first. Like typically a supplement in general is not going to be my first port of call.
Right.
I'm going to address things on the nutrition and lifestyle side because at the end of the day, if those things are not addressed, berberine's not really going to do anything. Like it might help initially, but if we're not looking at root cause, like, hey, why are we insulin resistant? Like, is it in the case of like PCOS or like it does nutrition, and maybe like nutrition strategy, timing, quality need to be addressed? Lifestyle factors like sleep, stress can drive that too. Like, if we don't address those things, then berberine is not going to be like a Hail Mary or something. Um, and then in the case of like a GI protocol, I would say I'd be more likely to use it there because there's a lot going on with a lot of those protocols. But again, like I'm gonna address digestion first with what we can do in terms of like food quality, like timing, all of those things. And then probably would want to see some testing before I just like threw an antimicrobial at someone. Because what that's going to do is like you're going to like start wiping out some of like the gut bugs, right? And you don't necessarily like you better be sure that that's what you need to do before you do it, kind of thing.
Yeah. Uh, Berberine, like you hear a lot of people like Berberine as nature's Ozempic is like the new thing. I know it's like Katie's like my aunt-in-law. This is just my Katie's
Katie's
aunt,
aunt.
correct. Had like who lived down here for, she has like a home down here as well. Like she gave her a bunch of Berberine when she went back. I thought it was funny. But I mean, it will increase our insulin sensitivity. Basically, be in most of your glucose disposal agents that you get, it'll be one of the factors. Which, but it's definitely not like it's not going to have the same impact as Ozempic by any means. It will again increase like our glucose uptake, but it's Uh, I don't know, Andrew. Do you have any other takes on that?
No.
No, like again, it can be beneficial if we're trying to increase like someone's nutrient partitioning as well, but it's not like a game changer by any means. It's a supplement that can be beneficial, but yeah, it's not.
It's usually
I
part of a
don't.
whole system of things rather than
Correct.
like this one thing is going to fix
Yeah.
the issue that we're working on.
Correct. Cool. Um, Recovery. If you feel muscle fatigue, take another day off. Should you push through? How to best balance the progressive push with not overextending. Andrea, what do you think?
So typically, typically with our programming, we have it set up to where if you are fatigued afterward, you're probably not going back in and working that same muscle in the same way the next time. And so it's it's very normal for like your legs to be fatigued at the end of a leg day. I'll get that comment quite a bit. Like I was really wiped out by the end of this. It's like good. That's what is going to drive change. So it's okay to be fatigued. What I am more so looking for in terms of like when should we push through versus not is are we getting overlapping soreness? So if we've got two lower body days in a week, after the first lower body day, 3 days later, are your legs still so sore that you're having a hard time sitting down on the toilet? Then we probably need to adjust your volume for a little bit in order to improve your recovery so that that soreness isn't overlapping. And then maybe eventually you'll be able to tolerate a little bit more and we can work it up over time. Or there's just maybe it was too much for the intensity that you have in the gym and we just need to adjust that and kind of recalibrate after the initial programming. But fatigue, I'm not usually all that concerned about unless there is a way for us to figure out if there's something else going on within your lifestyle that's causing that, which is usually the case if it's notable fatigue.
Yeah. Yeah, unless your training isn't set up well, it shouldn't be like there's a ton of muscular soreness with the same tissue we're like trying to train again today. Again, unless we're like training the same thing back to back quite consistently. Um, but again, if it's just we're just talking like more general fatigue, like I don't know, when's the last time you guys just like pushed a training session back because it was like I'm like pretty fatigued today. I don't know if I feel up for it.
I honestly can't remember the
Yeah, me
last.
either.
I did it. I think the last time I took like a day off of training at all was uh coming back from Arizona from our last meetup.
Mhm.
Because like
Mhm.
remember I ended up leaving a night early because we were expecting like weather on the East
Oh
Oh
Coast.
yeah,
yeah, it was like
yeah,
in the middle
yeah.
of the night.
Right. So like I ended up taking a red eye back to DC and I would normally train legs on Sunday. And so I landed at like, 6 a.m. Sunday morning or something. And I was like, I'm not gonna train legs today because like that would be stupid. Because I didn't get any sleep, you
Yeah.
know? So like stuff like that. And I mean, I would say also like if you get like a new training block, like a new mesocycle, or like you're coming back from vacation, you're probably going to be more acutely sore like that week that you come back and understand that like that will dissipate within the next week. And I do think sometimes there's a little bit of fear around like training sore. It's like, oh my God, I can't train. I'm sore. It's like, no, you can. Like, I think we've
Usually
all
feels better afterward.
right. And like, but you guys have all trained sore before, right? Like
Oh
it's
yeah.
like it's fine. Now again, we'd have to look at the scale, like on a scale of 1 to 10, like how sore are we? Like, are we debilitatingly sore? Like, okay, different story there. But in general, it's like if you're a little fatigued, like every once in a while, like fine. If we're fatigued all the time, like we need to have a conversation about training split, volume, like are you taking recovery days? I know a lot of us encourage our clients to like instead of thinking about like I need a day off, think about taking an extra recovery day. So, hey, I would normally hit this session on Wednesday. I'm going to rest Wednesday. I'm going to hit this session on Thursday and just push everything back. So you haven't really missed anything.
Yeah, and that's a good approach. Like if it is in a situation where it's needed, and if you have the flexibility to do so, that's great, right? I personally, similar to you guys, like I just hate disrupting my schedule so much. But I
Same.
mean, like that I can't bring myself to. But like when we got sick after Mexico, of course, like I took a couple training days off like that, or Natalie said like, okay, I didn't sleep this night. and I can push it back to the next day, sick. That's ideal. I think is again just distinguishing like, is this just normal? Like, I don't feel optimal, and that's just life, and it's okay to train through that, and we don't have to feel our absolute best to perform well? Or is it like, hey, I could actually make this session so much more productive and not like put myself in a hole where I'm way behind if I push it back to tomorrow? Cool.
I think
Um,
auto-regulating things like that is such a skill. And
yeah,
just like someone that is newer to tracking macros probably shouldn't try and eat intuitively, someone that hasn't followed the same programming for months probably shouldn't try and auto-regulate. Like you probably should just go in and do it and kind of see how things go, and then you know have that skill of auto-regulation. And I will typically tell my more experienced clients when they ask me a question about like, hey, I'm feeling this way, I'll say, I trust you to auto-regulate this. But if it's someone newer, I don't usually say those words.
yeah, very much so. Yeah, there are many times in the situation where, hey, maybe we don't push as hard. Maybe we do reduce the volume a bit and still, again, like at very least get a maintenance dose. Okay. Um, Weight loss resistance, how to troubleshoot. I don't know what the formal like definition of weight loss resistance is. I hear the term come up quite often, but I'm assuming weight loss is hard for us. So, I mean, what I would personally start with is what's our basic lifestyle structure? So, are we getting our daily steps? Are we tracking our food consistently, like all the basic things? Are we on an intake that I would expect us to be losing on, right? So, of course, I mean, like if we're at like body weight times 10 or lower, that's typically started to be a red flag. Like, and we're not, things aren't moving and we're dialed in. Okay, cool. Then I'm going to want to see like a week of photo logs of food. Does what we see here match up? And honestly, I would rather someone just follow meal plan exactly for a week, send me photo logs so I can make sure I've like done all my due diligence. This is honestly where I would start with a case like this first. And then alongside that, we'll be able to see like within their biofeedback, are there any glaring potential issues with like, hey, do we have like chronic constipation, or are we cold? Are our nails and hair brittle all the time? Like things that might indicate thyroid issues and things of that sort, right? But basically, once we've worked through the basic, are we adhering to the plan? Are we getting an adequate amount of daily movement, etc.? Things still aren't moving. Okay, let's take a look at labs. How is our thyroid, our sex hormones, things of that nature? And then we'll probably be able to see the issue there. That's where I would start. Anything you guys have to add? Again, when people are talking weight loss resistance, I don't know if there's context here that I don't know about because I know it's kind of like a buzzword that seems like more specific to something that I'm describing here.
I'm gonna go in the direction of like, let's pretend that this person is doing like all of the things, like tracking
Word.
accurately, like, and it is not budging. That is when I would ask to see labs
Yeah.
and say, like, hey, let's see if there's something going on under the hood. And usually there's something there that bears attention. And if we can make progress there, then typically we could get things moving, would be my general answer.
Cool.
There are some like different tools. Yeah.
Anything else to add from you, Andrea?
No.
Cool. If you want weight loss resistance coaching, Andrea is your girl. Um,
Read a true
from
tide for everyone.
Retta works well, yes. Um, Natalie, what's your favorite movement to coach slash teach clients?
I did not know, like, I was thinking about this earlier today and I was like, I don't know how to answer that. Um, I just like helping people move better and teaching
Yeah.
people how to train. Like, I don't think I have a favorite movement.
It's not
I,
dips.
huh?
It's not dips.
No, it's just that everyone's doing dips right now. So it's
Yeah.
like, and I do dips as well. So it's like,
The people
it's like,
love dips.
dude, it's like fishing with dynamite, you know?
Oh yeah. You
Like,
can't
been
miss.
going hard on the dips lately because like everyone's doing them. I just like helping people learn how to train and how to move better. I get really excited when they get excited. And typically the things that excite people are things like dips and pull-ups. Because that's like a really cool thing to be able to do, like, support your own body weight, especially if you haven't done it before. So like I kind of feed off my clients' excitement. Um, there, and like I also do enjoy figuring out like injury related stuff, because like if I can get someone feeling better, like I know how valuable that is to their psyche and their, their enjoyments and their longer term like trajectory and progress. Um, and that's something like we've all been working really hard on, like on our, with our studies and continuing education and stuff. So I get really excited about that. But yeah, I don't think I have a favorite movement.
Cool. Andrea?
It kind of depends on the person. I like coaching RDLs whenever someone has a little bit of bodily awareness in order to be able to kind of pick up on the adjustments that we're making.
So
Um,
you don't like coaching
because
RDLs.
no, I really do whenever it's one that's like, man, these just have always hurt my back, and it has they have like the textbook hips back form, and usually we can make some adjustments and it feels like life changing for them because it's just one that people have such a hard time with. So that's always fun whenever there's kind of like a big breakthrough on it. The reason I say for some people is because sometimes it is one where it's like, man, we're just we're not
Dude,
we're not
I
it's
don't know
like
how many more ways I can explain this. It's been 12 years.
uh yeah, which fair enough. There's some movements that I'm sure I am like that on. But it is also a very hard one whenever someone's just not quite understanding and getting the cues. But it's like a love hate.
It is really gratifying when someone gets it, though. I find it takes a
Yeah.
long time. It takes months to get your RDLs down. Even like when I was working with backs, we spent like 4 months reworking my RDLs until finally it just clicked, and I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And then like when people hit that moment, it is super cool.
Yeah.
I
It's
think
so
just
funny.
anything. Go
Sometimes
ahead.
every once in a while I'll have someone where it's like, 4 or 5 weeks in and I'll say this looks very good and they'll for any movement and they're like, "Oh, finally." And I'm like, "It took me like a
Yeah,
decade."
dude. I with the
So,
RDLs, a lot of times people like specifically with that will get down and I'll just like show, look at how many other conversations I'm having right now with clients about their RDLs. Like
yeah.
I can just in this Loom video can show you like 5 other conversations about this same thing today. I really think just anything like taking someone from something that they like sucking at something to be good at it is what's gratifying for me. So
Yeah.
like a lot of times, yeah, it's RDLs, which yes, is can be kind of like a can be a difficult one as well, but when it clicks, it's so cool. But really, like whatever it is that person's weakness. Like, hey, we're really bad at lat training, and like getting that to click and like basically seeing the physique change as a result of that is so cool, right? Like
Yeah.
we come in and we want to like build our glutes, and we like clearly suck at glute training, and like we work through all this and we fixed it, like. That I don't know. It's just really cool to see like that come to culmination. But I don't have a specific movement. All right, Andrea, how do you satisfy cravings when you really just want a greasy burger, taco, or fries? Or maybe all together. Burger, taco, fries.
I would so the cravings are so normal because if that's something that you are used to eating in the past, especially in like X situation, I go out and this is my go-to. Like I go out and I have a couple drinks and then I go get a greasy burger. Like that's been your pattern for years. It's really normal to still want that whenever you go out for a meal or have a drink or whatever. And so first, like, don't feel like there's anything wrong with you if you're wanting these things or having cravings for these things. But cravings are not, first of all, they're not an emergency. They're not a itch that you have to scratch or else it's never going to go away. If you kind of surf that initial feeling of a craving, it will go away, usually relatively quickly. And so if you can just take a moment to kind of ask yourself, what is it that you are experiencing? Like, what is the actual problem going on that you're sort of wanting to band-aid with this food? And this goes for any food, not just the greasy food. Then you can identify what is actually going to fix that problem. Like I'm feeling really fatigued and stressed from work, and it's the end of the week. And that's the problem. The problem isn't that you have a deficiency in greasy burger. The problem is that you're stressed and tired from work. So, what's actually going to solve that problem?
Okay, so my dad never told me that he loved me when I was a kid growing up, and I am masking that by winning this burger. What do I do?
In that case, you should probably go get
This
the
is
burger.
hypothetical.
Call
Yeah,
your dad.
just think of all the other areas that you have cravings in your life that you don't act upon. Like you want to buy something, but it logically doesn't make sense for you to buy it, so you don't, or whatever it may be, right? Like we every other area of our life we have cravings that we don't act upon. It's not really that your cravings don't have more meaning here. We just tend to give them more weight. But again, it's like, hey, maybe I want a new car, but it doesn't make sense for me to buy one right now, so I'm not going to, right? So I'm just gonna let that craving go by. We can do the same thing, or honestly, like what taco, burger, fries, all of those things are pretty easy to like make a lower calorie. I mean, you could also
Yeah.
just get tacos or get a burger or get fries and work it within your calories if it makes sense to do so. Like it's not a huge stretch. Or again, you can like make your own lower calorie version with leaner beef or tacos are easy to make work. Yeah. I don't have anything else to add there. Anyone else?
I I don't really want to get into
Cool. All right. Um, do you have strategies for distributing carbs and fats in building slash cutting phases? For example, do you like to keep fats at the higher end or lower end of the spectrum for different phases? This is another one that's quite client dependent. Um, I mean, as a whole, I would say if we're looking at like in general, I'm gonna want, hey, we have a decent amount of fat, right? Like someone close to like 4 to 5 grams per pound of body weight, decent amount of protein, again, like 1 to 1.5 grams per pound of body weight, fill the rest with carbs if we have a lot of food to work with. But I mean, past that, like speaking in generalities, and again, this depends on the client, but if I have someone come on board who's like, hey, our body fat is quite high, that is where like a lot of times we can assume that like their insulin sensitivity is worse, they have worse metabolic flexibility. I might actually start them on like a higher fat, lower carb approach. Again, dependent. There's other things I would want to look at before that's just a blanket statement. Also, I'll find a lot of times that like if we're really digging deep, like let's say have someone doing a dig day in a fat loss phase, um, and we can either go like 100 carb, 30 fat, or we can go like 40, 45 fat and take that carb lower. The like slightly higher fat, lower carb intake is actually going to be more satiating. Whereas typically it's like the general advice is like we would pull the fat lower to keep the carbs higher, right? But like at that point, like I find that a bit more fat can be satiating. So like sometimes on dig days I will bias more fat versus carbs. And again, like carb fat cycling is something we'll often use where like, hey, we'll have a couple of days where we might have like a higher carb intake, a lower fat intake, and then vice versa. Any other context you guys would add there? Like it's just all over the place depending on the person.
when I have someone who has to eat a lot of food in a building phase, like relative to their, I mean, there's no rule for like this person of this size should be eating this much, right? Like there are going to be outliers and everything in between. But like if I have someone like relative to their size and like muscle mass that has to like eat a lot of food, I will probably like have them on relatively high fats just because if food really has to get that high, then you can start to run into GI stuff because
Yeah.
you're more likely to see GI upset when someone's like overdoing the carbs, the veggies, the fruits, like, all of those things. I know for me personally, like my fats are pretty high right now. Um, like I'm on like 85 grams of fat, and like 350 carb. And like, could I easily eat over 350 grams carbs? Absolutely. Like so easily. But I know we are being a little bit cautious just for GI stuff, which has totally been fine, but we need to keep it that way. So that's a context where that would matter to me.
Andrea, what's your fat at right now?
40.
Oh, not bad actually.
Yeah, not bad.
Cool. I am eating 582 carb, 83 fat. Not a bad life I'm living right now. Um, as a coach, time needed to onboard new client versus current client, both chin pop and more advanced. That is a very hard question as well to give a. Does anyone have like a time, like how long it takes to onboard a client? It
I have
always
no
takes me at
idea
least
because
a couple
there's
hours, it seems like.
It's gonna take as long as it's gonna take, and
Yeah.
yeah, and also like what are we considering? Because there's a call that we do with them, and then we are putting their
Mm.
programming together, and we're doing a needs analysis, and then we're like recording a video explaining it. So there's a lot of different pieces that if we put them all together, it's a significant amount of time.
it depends too. Like sometimes people come to us with like, "Hey, I just had labs done, and like here's a GI map
Yeah.
that I did," and like so there's like it's like there's a lot of stuff to get through. Of like, okay, let me
Hmm.
like peel back the layers and like see what it is like we have to everything that we have to kind of deal with here, like a health history. So depending on like their health history and like any kind of specific concerns. Um, but like for a general intake, it is one of the more time consuming things that I think all of us do because we're trying like it's individual for that client. It's like we're not just like recycling plans or anything like that. We're actually trying to like get into like understand the client's mindset, like where they're coming from, like how we want to kind of construct things. And there's a creative element to it as well. Like obviously we deal in a lot of like science, right? Like this is the science of nutrition. This is like how training works. But there's an art to it too, and like a human element. And like I have to be in the right headspace. Like I feel like it's kind of something I can't necessarily force. Like almost like when you're doing like social media or like content creation, like I need to like I need like a clear calendar, and I need to just like immerse myself in this client's world personally to kind of like come up with what I think is the right plan for them.
Yep.
Sometimes like when it clicks and you're in the zone, it's like you're just zipping along, and then other times like you kind of hit a stall. It's like I need to revisit this and think on this a little bit more. Because I mean, we say it all the time, there's so many roads to Rome.
Hmm.
There are a few different ways we could approach like this client. And so sometimes in my mind I'm like, oh wait, or do I want to do that first or something?
Yeah, I would agree. It is hard to put a specific time. I would say if I like blocking, if I'm like time blocking and I want to make sure I have plenty of time to onboard someone, I'm gonna want at least a couple hours there. And honestly, I always like try to onboard people, like plan my onboarding for people well in advance in case I need more time. Sometimes if it's simple and it's like, hey, this is a very basic, like we just need this person to get the basics done, and I don't want to overcomplicate it because that will hold them back. It can be a lot quicker. Then I've had situations like you said where it's like, man, this is a lot of hours I'm investing in just getting this down, let alone like the call we're getting on to walk through it as well. All right. How far are you willing to drive for a 10 out of 10 gym, Andrea?
I mean, I'm probably the most conservative out of the three of us,
Andrea
having
is the most low maintenance person you've ever met
kids.
in your life.
Well, I mean, I've got, after school pickup stuff and
Hang on. I'm gonna interrupt you right there because you and Nick, Andrea's husband, like purposely plan trips to Dallas, which is a
that's
5 hour
true.
just to go
But I
like just
drive
to
10
track.
minutes to my gym at home.
Let's go like your daily driver.
Okay.
How far
Yeah.
are we
Oh
talking
yeah.
there?
I'll travel to go visit a gym, but yeah, on a daily, I just it's hard to give up a lot of productive time sitting in the car to get to the gym. I think if it's for me, if it's the difference in an 8 out of 10 gym and a 10 out of 10 gym, I'm going to go with the closer one. So, Jeremiah,
But
I
you
know that
know,
you've driven a bit of ways to get to Fit Lab at one point in the transition with moving.
yeah. I mean, I still, it's like, depending on the day, it'll be like 25 to 40 minutes one way, which is my 4 days a week and then have 1 day a week here. It does, yes, when I like look at like when we were doing like the time tracking thing, I was like, man, that took 4.5 hours between like It's like, okay, less than ideal, but at the moment it is worth it for me. I for sure have gone through, that's why I've like go through phases where sometimes I'm training in my garage gym where it's like, but until we build the headquarters closer, it's worth it for me. It is just such a big part of, I have found like, at least for me, if I'm setting up my schedule, managing my time well, and I'm like in a place where I'm like prioritizing taking care of myself and I'm more productive anyways, I have plenty of time to like make it happen. Like my life isn't so busy that I can't like make that work. So I am fine with it. But yeah. What about you, Natalie? Daily driver, how far?
I mean, my gym's like 12 minutes, 11 on a good day.
You
What
have
do
a
you
10
see
out
as
of
like
10
the
gym.
upper? You do have a great gym.
Yeah, like I and it's actually like one of the smaller locations, but it's the OG location. Um, if I didn't have that gym, I would I would do what I had to do to get the best training possible. I know that's what I would do. Like if I like I would in my mind, I would fight with myself and I would likely like try out the 8 out of 10 gym or something or 7 out of 10 or whatever we're going with here. I would probably try it out and I think in a pinch that would probably be fine. But if over time I was feeling like a lack of motivation from like the environment or like I just hated the equipment that I had, like I would 100% just like drive and do what I needed to do. So the question was like, how far are you willing to drive? So like I would drive 30 minutes if I had to.
What about 45?
I
One way.
probably would find a way to justify it. And I'd like,
Just move closer.
yeah, I mean, honestly, that's the answer. But I would probably find a way to justify it and I would find a way to like creatively and productively utilize that 45-minute drive like listening to continuing education or or doing a call with someone or something.
Yeah, cool. All right. Um, is it true that post fat loss, you won't be able to eat the same maintenance calories from pre-fat loss? So yes, that said, like this is from one of my clients who like for her, and I talked through this in her check-in as well today, not really a big concern. So I mean, we're looking at the components of the calories you burn. We have your basal metabolic rate, which is going to be about 60 to 70% of the calories we burn in a day. We have non-exercise activity, going to be about 15 to 25% of your daily caloric burn. Thermic effect of food, going to be about 10 to 15%, and the thermic effect of exercise, going to be about 5%. So when we're looking at metabolic adaptation, the reason that we are able to eat or like we need less when we're dieting, basically our caloric needs decrease. You're smaller, so your BMR burns fewer calories. You're eating less, so you're burning fewer calories through the thermic effect of that food. And then we have a smaller body, so thus we are burning less calories when we're exercising, moving the body through space. And because our body senses less fuel coming in, this is also very much tied to like your leptin levels. But we're going to do less pacing, fidgeting, blinking, non-exercise activity, your steps, things of that nature. So our metabolism does adapt, yes. That said, very, very, like by far the biggest component of the metabolic adaptation is your non-exercise activity. So again, like the pacing, fidgeting, blinking, are again, like we can account to this for a degree with like our daily steps. Body distancing, less food is available. Again, like where are your leptin levels at as a whole within your fat cells? Um, but the thing is, once the diet is over and you are eating more food, even if you are leaner, most of these adaptations will undo quite quickly unless we're below like a sustainable level of body fat to where again like our fat cells are depleted of our leptin levels are quite low. Then again, like we may have to gain back some body fat to get our metabolic rate as a whole to be a bit higher. But again, even like then it's unless we're losing a drastic amount of weight, like I think people think of this as like my basal metabolic rate drastically changes, which it doesn't, right? Like I was talking like this girl, like, hey, when we do fat loss, we might have to lose 10 pounds max. You're not gonna probably even notice a difference in your maintenance calories then versus now. Yeah, we have to eat less to lose, but like once we're back up there again, like we eat more food, our body senses cool, we have more energy coming in, thus we're free to spend more. And again, BMR might be slightly lower, but it's pretty negligible. So again, like it's not going to be a huge difference at all. I would say like less than 100 calories probably. I don't notice a big difference unless someone is losing like 60 pounds. Would you guys agree with that? Any different takes there?
Yeah, I want to add that like sometimes when we see now it this conversation I think like revolves around like, well, how much percentage of your body weight you lose is like a significant amount or a smaller amount. Like, but I can think of a client now who lost a significant amount of weight, like 50, 60 pounds or something like that. And we're still kind of like trying to find his maintenance.
Yeah, even then, when I think about the people who I've had do that, I haven't been like, wow, your maintenance is way lower. Hmm.
Right.
With
And like
large weight loss like that, they probably have leveled up their lifestyle so much and they've gained muscle
right.
tissue.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the
But
thing.
like
Yeah,
there
that's a
is a
good point.
question to like, yeah, are they tracking more accurately because they're just like so much better at this? And like eating like higher quality food, which like then you leverage the thermic effect food. So it's like these little things that are like piling on top of each other. And then also this particular client has like changed his training around. Like he didn't start out training with me and now he is and he's getting pretty good at it, and so like the stimulus that he's sending, like his training is so much better. And then so now we've gotten into more of like that peri-workout nutrition, and so he's like utilizing his food so much better. So what we've seen is like his maintenance actually isn't that far off from where it was prior, but like again, this is one big like it depends, right?
Yeah, I would fully agree. I was just reading through the questions, and we have a lot of clients who are taking shots at me in these questions, and Natalie's, and from Natalie specifically, it's like, damn, guys. All right, we're gonna wrap it up
Well, should
here
we
now
go
that I
through
see the.
those now? Because
That's the culture she's created.
it
Yeah,
is.
I know, except for one of these is from Shelby, which is messed up. But in Natalie's questions, athlete that trains twice a day, sport slash running and lifting, would they do pre and intra twice? Natalie, what's your take?
Depends on like what the sport running is and the duration. Like are we going for a 20-minute run kind of thing? Like,
Mhm.
some zone two jogging, or like are we like a track star like Usain Bolt kind of thing? But I would say probably like, yeah, I probably would.
Yeah.
And there might be some different fueling considerations for each, so it wouldn't necessarily be like the same like intra for both. Um, but like something like an endurance sport, like I would likely put a few more like bells and whistles in there, and might be slightly higher carb, I would say.
Also,
Sure.
what's the goal? Like, is it maximum performance?
Right. Yeah. Are we trying to
And when
get
it,
better at sport performance, or like is this within the context of like improving body composition?
that's a very good question because if the goal is performance, I would say for sure, yeah, we're probably
Mhm.
going to do like a pre and an intra prior to both. I run into from time to time people kind of under or overestimating their needs for like a 20-minute run, where it's like, hey, I'm going to
Really?
do this 20-minute. I did a 20-minute run first thing, so I added like 300 calories worth of carbs to make up for that. And it's like, let's just hydrate. As long as we're hydrated, I'm good with you doing that run fasted, and then we can eat after, and we'll be perfectly fine going to our training session. Like, not a big deal. Similarly, like if it's just something like that, I honestly probably wouldn't eat, especially which basically we're probably focused on body composition at that point. Like I'm not going to be worried about it being super well fueled again, unless we're getting into like, I mean, even like a 3, 4 mile run, like not a huge deal. If we're getting into like longer distances, which again we're focusing on performance at that point, that's when I'm more concerned with it.
Hmm.
I just said what you guys said, but in more words. Anything else to add? We have a ton more questions. We will have to get to these in a part two, but anything else to add before we wrap up this one?
You don't want to do Shelby's question? It'll be quick.
We will get into all of the other questions and insults next Q&A. Thank you guys for your questions and insults. As always, it's much appreciated. If you enjoy the show, do us a huge favor, leave us a 5-star rating and review. If you would like to apply for coaching, click the link in the show notes, and we will catch you guys next time.